The truth is, adding value will never go out of style.
Hello, and thanks for joining us for another Five Things podcast. I'm here with a couple rock stars, no pun intended, Steve David Elliot and Scott Rutter. Thanks for joining us this morning, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, great to be here.
And really excited to cover this topic today. A lot of businesses fail in the first year, and the SBA has basically shown that 50% of the businesses fail in the first 2 years. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But I can honestly say one of the toughest things early on, even being a sales guy, is generating leads. So we want to talk today about how to generate leads in 2020. If you're a small business owner, if you're a sales guy, you're a realtor, you're an insurance professional, there's a lot of different ways to generate leads. You got to figure out who is a prospect and who is a suspect, and figure that out, not waste your time. But we've got a couple awesome professionals that are awesome at doing that. So thanks for joining us. And Scott, you're in the insurance business.
That's right.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so really excited. Obviously just transitioned from banking now to insurance, and checked all the boxes for me. So it's, working with people, educating people, and just delivering high quality service.
Okay. And Steve, obviously real estate background, and founder of North Hills Networking and Rockstar and several things. So tell us a little bit about that and your background.
Well, I've been around a long time, done a lot of things like everyone else here in the room, but I've always been a people person. I care about the person before the product. I care about their needs and their goals prior to me selling to them. Mm-hmm. I feel that we need to sort of back off from necessarily the word leads and start talking about meaningful connections. Mm-hmm. I've always found by establishing meaningful connections and giving a value-added proposition to that connection, the business will follow. We are actually in an era, if we are going to use the word leads, mm-hmm. of the first time in my life of unlimited leads. Because of that, people will fail to develop business because they don't value the people that they're meeting, mm-hmm. unfortunately.
Yeah, and there's definitely, and I think you bring up a great point that you got to go into it with the right mindset, because people can pick up on, if you're just a commission to them, people can definitely pick up on that. And I think you give off a lot of bad vibes when you're thinking like that. So I'm glad you brought that up, because that's a real important, and it's a minor distinction, but I think it's really important that when you're out there trying to add value and be a positive to others, it's a big difference between the guy that's out there just looking to write up a contract that night.
Well, we all have to eat, of mm-hmm. course, but if you're diligent in doing some of the processes that we're going to share in this conversation, the business will come to you and you will be able to close that business. But in the interim, you have to see yourself as a servant. If you give, and I'm saying a lot of gives,
sure.
Then you deserve to ask.
Right.
Then remember, you can ask because you've earned that right.
Right.
But to go in immediately for an ask is gauche,
sure.
inappropriate, and will definitely repel a potential business.
I agree 100%. And just kind of a little tip from, I guess from the title that I have on LinkedIn, for example, we'll connect with people and this and that. And the first thing they do is the ask. So the first message I get from that individual is, hey, I'd love to come in and look over your insurance or look over this or this and that. And I'm always like, thank you, have a great day. Because to your point, they didn't establish any rapport. They didn't establish it. They went right for the
now.
Jugular.
I have a sort of different look, and I flip that paradigm on that.
Okay.
Because someone who comes into me with an ask right
mm-hmm.
away, I don't care. That's actually a real opportunity, because they're going to tell me everything that they want and everything that they need. And then I can listen to them, I can evaluate what they're saying and turn it around so I can have a quicker ask. Because then I can know whether they're telling me, hey, I don't want to have a date with you, I don't want to have coffee with you, I just want to get to the point.
Right.
Then I could determine whether there is actually going to be a business relationship, and we're not going to have that 6-month dating process to close to do business.
Okay. Yeah, that's a different take on it. I never thought of it like that.
I've spoke with one of my clients down in South Florida, who's a client of Rockstar Connect, In his first 3 months, he made over $3 million in commission selling life insurance in our program. And he makes an appointment with every single person that comes to his networking event. And you have to recognize, I'm talking about an event that 50 to 70 people come
Sure.
to every month. He sets 10 appointments at the event. He knows that those 10 people that he can set at the event, they are definitely going to try to sell him something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he at that point, when he has that conversation and they're trying to sell, he knows how hungry they are.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows what he has in his arsenal that'll help them reach their goals more quickly. Because most likely their product is going to help them. For example, you sell security systems.
Mm-hmm.
You want to sell me a security system. I want to put you in my referral bank. So we've just now had a one-on-one. You came in right away to sell security. You say, that's what's going to make me happy. I don't want Hurricanes tickets.
Right.
I don't want to be invited out to the lake. I want to sell security systems. Well, that's a very easy want for me to satisfy, isn't it? Because I know people that want security systems. So once I can satisfy your wants and your needs, you're going to want to reward me in some way. You see me as an altruistic person who's giving you business with no request for return business, you're going to go out of your way to give me business.
I could definitely see that. And definitely comes back to one of our 5 things, which is adding value. You can build up that emotional bank account with deposits. So I can see that point of view for sure. What are your thoughts on that, Scott?
Yes, I mean, it is always about adding value. It's about, meeting the client's needs and then, again, peeling back the onion and finding additional ways to add value. So, very important to always add value.
Awesome. Where are you from originally, Stephen?
I'm from Miami, Florida.
Okay. And you've been in the Raleigh, North Carolina area
I moved up here in 2006.
Okay. So,
And it was very strategic. I didn't have to move to Raleigh. I just had to move out of Miami.
okay.
Children getting to that age, I felt the real estate market was going to crash in South Florida. I wanted to get my equity out.
That was a good call.
A good call.
Yeah.
A very good call.
Right.
Got out right before the crash.
Yeah.
And I looked all over the United States for opportunity. Eric, as a person who's written every paycheck to myself since I'm 21 and I'm 51 now. And Raleigh just ticked off all the boxes. In 2006, it was really a small pond here. There weren't a lot of professional salesmen. You had a lot of scientists and tech people. It was funny, when I first moved up here, people would come up to me and say they were in IT. And I didn't even know what IT was. I just thought it was a cult, it. But, this is a great area. It's semi-recession proof. It's a good place to sit out a storm. And it was a hard time for a lot of people between 2008 and
Definitely.
pretty much now.
Yeah.
I mean, we weren't in a recession. We were in a depression, right?
Yeah, I think Raleigh, in a lot of ways, we didn't feel it like a lot of other people did. I was dealing with a lot of builders back then, so I definitely felt it. But, at the end of the day, it probably wasn't anywhere near as bad as Miami.
Yeah,
so,
we didn't have people taking the keys and, laying it under the mat and giving
Sure.
it to the bank here.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad, that's for certain. So you built up your real estate business, and then you started North Hills Networking. Probably, a decade ago?
Actually, it's sort of interesting. I didn't get into real estate because I wanted to be a real estate agent. I've been in business for myself for many years, and people would ask me, how are you able to write a check to yourself? How are you able to create something that no one did before and that other people are not making money? How are you able to do that? And what I would do in business is I would do things for the community. Because whenever I felt I would try to promote my own business directly, it would fail miserably. I would waste a lot of money, print advertising, radio, TV. We had phone books back then, stuff like that. But if I did something, if I did something for the community, like an art festival or music series or a party, or I started farmers markets.
Sure.
People would say, this is a great guy.
Right.
I guess I could reward him by shopping in his business or referring him,
Sure.
etc. And but not everybody can do those things. They're very logistically intense.
A lot
that
of work.
happens to be something that I'm good at.
Right.
But I did have a networking event that I had started here in the Raleigh area in 2008. or so that I did for 2 years, and it was called Success is Contagious, and we may get to that later in the conversation. And this was in the recession. People were doing really badly. The shopping center where I had my business was only 15% occupied. It was brand new.
Wow.
And the developers came to me and they said, you're the only one paying your rent. You're not calling and complaining about us in any way, and there's cars coming and people spending money with you. How are you doing that, and can you do it for us? We're developers, we're not marketing people. We never intended to hold on to this property, but it looks like we're going to have it.
Right.
And I said, if you give me the latitude to do what I want to do here, we'll be successful. So I had them put signs in like they had in Disney World with arrows. So, because there's one business here and the other one's 10 doors down. That way you could find other businesses, made it look like it was packed. I started a farmer's market, a music series. I brought the North Raleigh Farmer's Market up to North Raleigh and ran that market right by my door. And I did this networking event. And I said, I'd been doing what I'd been doing. At that point, I was in the book business. I owned 4 bookstores. I did it for 15 years. I was only working 20 hours a month. Getting a little bored with it. It felt a little bit small. And I went to my brother, who's a marketing guru in his own right in the culinary field. And I said, I think if someone had their own networking event that was consistently done over a period of time, and they helped other people achieve their goals, they would be able to write a big check for themselves. And he said, I don't believe that's true. It's ridiculous. It's a bad idea. Well, we're 22 months apart. Do you have siblings?
I do have some half brothers and half sisters.
Right. So your brothers, you're pretty competitive with for everything, and we are in my.
I don't know them, but thanks for bringing that up.
I hit a raw spot there.
I'm just kidding. No, I'm just joking. I mean, it's true. I don't know them, but it's not that big a deal.
But my brother and I are very competitive in business, family.
I can imagine.
And a real estate agent came into one of my businesses the next day and asked me for my business and said, "Can I make referrals to her?" I said, "Wow, I've been here 15 years." And you're the first real estate agent that's ever asked me for referrals. And I'm a captive audience. I have a brick and mortar store. You come up to me,
sure.
I can't run away from you. You don't need an appointment to see me. I'm right there. She said, yeah, that's the best way to build your business. And I said, I gave her a brief overview of my idea that wasn't quite formed. And I got a call from her the next day. And she said, my broker owner wants to meet with you to hear about your idea. And I presented to him. And he opened up a big checkbook, his big business checkbook, and said, how much would it take to get that started? And I was like, well, eureka, this is a good idea.
Right.
I don't want to write it off for a small check. Let's actually pilot it. So I sold my bookstores in Florida and in North Carolina. And I became a real estate agent, and I started my own networking event.
Okay.
And the networking event really just killed it. Within a few months, I was in the top 1% of my brokerage for the entire country.
Nice.
And I did no other form of prospecting. No paid marketing, just a networking event. And then I created a course to teach people how to do it. And they said, this is a fantastic course. It's very comprehensive. I would never do this because it's too much work. I can't believe you do this much to put on an event. Can you do it for me? And that's what I ended up doing, creating Rockstar Connect, so we could do basically networking events for a box. So a busy professional, a rock star, could just show up and create an enormous network and audience. Because I come from a sales background, and I look at your network, to be similar to sales. It's a numbers game in sales, right? The more phone calls you can answer, the more people you can speak to, the more likely you're going to have business. It's the same thing with networking. You're trying to establish these relationships with people, do good things for the community, but you're also trying to create business. So the bigger your network is, the more business you'll have. The problem was, in the past, we didn't have the technology to utilize that large of a network. You couldn't touch on them. You couldn't keep up with them in any reasonable way. You basically had your Rolodex, and you'd go through it and you'd schedule things on a calendar. Now with social media, you can be touching your audience constantly.
Right.
So in fact, my first course was called How to Develop a Sphere of Thousands from Your Sofa. digital media is a tool. It's a fantastic tool.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can be putting people into that funnel of your social media where they can learn to trust you and like you and do business with you, that's a great way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we're going to be talking a little bit more about social media. I'll get into it then.
Sure.
Well, and real quickly, just on the rock star and success is contagious and everything else. I mean, obviously, I'm living proof of that. So I ended up firing myself from my job and was given multiple opportunities, and am now back in the entrepreneur space.
Well,
So thanks to the event,
yeah, and it's, we're there. For him, he's a client. He also works with us now, developing the state of North Carolina. But we're the best employees that our clients will never meet. Because we're just there behind the scenes, booking venues, doing the marketing, video production, the follow-up, and everything associated with an event.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it's a saying that I love is, it's all about who you know, and it's, to me, it's really not about who you know, it's who knows you. And that's coming back to your point. It's the relationship. It's the rapport that you have with people.
It's very interesting that you say that, because when I first married my wife, who I happened to meet at one of my networking events, or at least was reintroduced to, she went into my home and she said, "What are all these boxes?" And I said, "Those are just filled with business cards." She said, "Well, what do you do with these business cards?" "Well, I'm an old-fashioned salesperson. As long as the phone is ringing, I'm happy." I said, "Yeah, well, I have, those are all the people that came to my event." She said, "Are they in a CRM?" I'm like, "What's a CRM?"
Right.
I'm old fashioned. We didn't have a CRM.
Sure.
We had a Rolodex. You need business. You have good friends. You're having a bad month. You dial for dollars at that point. She said, "Well, if you can take this and put it into a system, you have gold." And I was going on that philosophy. I want as many people to know me as possible.
Sure.
I'm going to treat everyone well. Unless they're an evil person,
Sure.
Anyone who asks me for a favor, I'm going to fulfill that.
Right. Do whatever you can. Yeah. So lots of great content. And I have a feeling we could talk about this kind of stuff for hours. It'd be easy to do, but we've unfortunately got a limited time here. So we'll work our way into the, if we had to break it down into 5 things, if you're a business person, if you're self-employed, you're a sales guy, saleswoman, sales gendered neutral, this is 2020 coming up. So, if you're out there looking for more business, essentially we kind of broke it down into 5 things that if you get really good at these 5 areas, you're going to do really well. So we'll jump into number 1, and you were talking about it, mastering social media. Scott, what's your thoughts on developing business by mastering social media? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's very important to stay relevant and, keep up with a daily post and just be as engaged as you can with your audience and, again, give value content, whether it's a great podcast you listen to or, somebody, would find the event to be attractive or, just strike conversation with them and everything. So, no, social media, it's very important to stay engaged.
Yeah.
For sure.
Steve?
Yeah, I mean, with social media, it's the most amazing tool. So when previously I'd have a telephone, I'd have a phone book, I'd have a Rolodex, and I'd go dialing for dollars. If I can make my phone ring or vice versa, I prefer the phone to ring, but if I don't have to, I know there's major potential out there.
Sure.
Social media, I don't have to put the foot in the door of someone's house to get in. They are inviting me into their house.
Mm-hmm.
They are reading what I am posting while they are wearing their underwear, or maybe they're not wearing underwear.
Mm-hmm.
I am in their house. I see the major events in their life. I know when they're getting a divorce. I know when they're getting a girlfriend. I know when they're having children. These are all life events that are important in real estate and in any business. And I have the opportunity to, it's as if, mentally in my mind, when I'm on social media, I am physically prospecting. It's as if I am on the street knocking on doors.
Mm-hmm.
So I will spend an hour, 2 hours every day just going through the timelines, reading what's going on in people's life, in their business, in their family, and see where I can inject myself in to make that experience better for them.
Mm-hmm.
That may be, offering my services or connecting them with the people that can assist them.
Mm-hmm.
For example, this week, someone had posted on a page about a woman whose home burned down in Franklinton. The person who made the post, I knew her because she was in my program where I list teachers' homes for free. So I reached out to her and I said, publicly and in a private message, reach out to me if you need any assistance. I spoke with the woman who had her home damaged, assessed her wants and needs, connected her with the connection that I had at CBS News, got her on the news, got her GoFundMe page going. And that initial person who made the post did a big thank to me on social media. Unexpected. It's not something you can expect because that's not the way it works. But she thanked me for putting all that into motion.
Right.
Well, that's fantastic for my social media clout.
Sure.
So people know he can get things done. He's going to help me achieve my goals. And in real estate and what we do in Rockstar Connect, that's absolutely essential. So social media is a tool to save you from driving in your car, from making phone calls, from doing direct mail and buying radio and TV and all the things we used to do.
Yeah. And, I can vouch for you personally that you've sent me business from being at your events in the past. And so that's obviously a great way to brand yourself. And I think there's a distinction here. You do those things with the right intention and the right heart, knowing you. When you do something, I guess there's a fine balance here. When you give with the expectation of receiving, that's not giving, that's manipulating. And you actually give to give and serve, and the byproduct is the good things that come back.
Well, I think that no one is truly altruistic. Not even Mother Teresa was truly altruistic. She got something from it.
Sure.
So for me, the give in and of itself, I've already won. I have a return on investment because I feel really good that I could do that.
Right.
And, of course, like everyone else, I wanted to be the popular kid and well-liked. We want to be that. And, if you become self-aware when you hit your 30s and 40s, you realize, hey, maybe people don't like me because I'm a jerk. And I need to tone it down and see what I can do to offer to the community to earn their respect and really get them to like you for real things and not superficial things.
Right. And there is a fine line. And I think if you're out there trying to implement what we're talking about, you're giving, but you're getting frustrated with that person because they didn't come back with a post telling you what a great hero you are.
That's a mistake.
That's the wrong mindset.
Yeah, I've seen people on social media, coaches, they'll say, well, I've never got a return on my investment making that referral. Well, it's so short-sighted. People that are networkers and people in general, when they have a good experience, they talk about that experience. So if someone makes a referral to me, I thank them. It may have never created business for me, but I'm going to talk about them to 40 people about what a great experience I had getting a referral from them.
Sure.
So you're having people that are going out there, and I know that you're very interested in brand. You're a scholar of this and an educator and in branding. All those people that you're helping are becoming your brand evangelist. They're spreading the word about you before you even meet people.
Right.
Biggest cheerleaders.
They're your cheerleaders. They're your fans. I mean, if you're a rock star, you need an audience, right?
It's true.
And that audience is going to propel you. You have to give a good performance and offer them what they need. Now, I started off as a social worker. You think it's very different from sales. It's not. In social work, what you're doing is you're assessing all of the best options for your client. And then you're limiting it to the ones that are going to be best for them. And then you're assisting them in choosing among those options. That sounds like a really good salesperson to me. I mean, in my business, and I know you do this in your business as well, you say, what I have, I know you want to buy it, but what I have is not going to be a good fit for you. Let me make a referral to someone else that can solve that problem for you.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, you just treat people like you want to be treated the best you can. I mean, we're all human, we're all imperfect, but I think when you really strive for that and then own it if you come up short, that's all we can do.
Yeah, and back to the social media and technology in general. I mean, this cell phone that's sitting over here on the table, it's such a powerful tool. This is your computer. It allows you to be a better person. It allows you to be a better salesperson. So when your clients reach out to you and they have a concern and it's on the weekend, you can send them a text and calm them down and tell them that you're on the job and you're looking out for them. Or the same thing with colleagues and associates. They have the ability to reach out to you without it being entirely intrusive in your life. Take advantage of that. Now, I remember I used to pay, for 4 physical stores. Can you imagine what my phone book bills were per month?
Sure.
I mean, they were more than my rent. And I was paying to have that phone ring. So I trained all my employees when they answered that phone, that was a sales call. It wasn't like someone saying, do you have this book? This is your opportunity to get people into the store. You need to pitch it and sell it. Now, today, people are calling us and we're not answering the phone. People are saying, I'm not getting opportunity. What do you think that phone ringing every time is an opportunity? Even if you have a client that calls you up that's a dissatisfied, upset client, you have an opportunity to make them a very happy client and a referral partner and a referral source. So I would say, use these tools, get on the phone, and take advantage of the fact that this is the best time in history to be a salesperson.
It really is, and a couple notes I want to throw in there is that this phone that we have is more powerful than the thing that, the computing technology that put people on the moon. It really is. It's crazy.
It's transforming the world.
Right.
I mean, that's why I'm able to, have my employees overseas in the Philippines, and I can do business in Europe and in the Middle East because of my phone. I have clients all over the world. I have clients in Israel and in Hong Kong and in Europe because they can reach out to me. They can go on social media and get my phone number and call me.
Right.
I can't tell you how many professionals I go on their Facebook page and their LinkedIn and they don't have their phone number there. Are you absolutely nuts? Because people will only make so much of an effort to refer you. If it becomes a lot of work, they have work to do themselves. So don't be a secret agent. Don't be a secret financial service person. Let people know that you're ready to accept their referrals in business.
Makes sense.
You have to be accessible.
Yeah.
100%.
And the internet works 24 hours a day. That's the other thing is that you will never be able to outwork the internet, which is why it's important to build your brand on the internet. Your business needs to be out there. Your information needs to be out there. Content needs to be out there. And the last thing I'll touch on with that is that the content should benefit them. Nobody wants to hear somebody that's always, buy my security system, it's the best, blah, blah.
You rarely talk about security systems.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with asking and putting some content out there that shows why it's better.
I can go into any community group in the Triangle, and I know if someone's going to ask for a security system, that they're going to mention your name. It's guaranteed. It's a lockup. But what's even better is it's being mentioned by multiple people in those threads. You didn't get that by pushing it down their throats to buy a security system. Those people may have never utilized you for a security system. They don't have one. They don't want one. That being said, they want to reward Brian for what you've done in networking and
community
and that's what it's all about. I mean, we work to make money to support our lives because money is essential.
Yeah.
But the community portion is far more rewarding.
Right. And that's always awesome to get that. So we're back. We took a quick little break there. We're actually running out of time here a little bit. So we've covered number 1 and number 2. Number 3, I'm just going to whiz through this because I think we've really mentioned this a lot. Adding value to other people. When you're giving to other people, they're going to naturally want to respond back. So that was number 3. We'll whiz through that one. Number 4 is going to be working on yourself. And I'm going to let Scott talk about that because obviously we want to develop the type of personality that attracts instead of repels. And Scott, what do you think about that?
Sure. So, I mean, again, working on yourself, I mean, for me, I'm very, motivated, self-motivated, but listening to podcasts, surrounding yourself with people, the A players, surrounding yourself with somebody like Brian Smith or Stephen David Elliot, so I'm always looking for mentors.
Right, and there's something about a 50-50 we talked about.
Yeah, so Stephen had mentioned the 50-50 rule. So it's, focusing on the 50% of the people that love you and like you, and then, trying to find out how to work on the 50% of the people that perhaps don't like you. So,
and I can tell you this, speaking personally, you're just not going to get along with everybody, and that's okay.
Right. Well, the chances are that you're not getting along with them because they don't know who you are. And we have the tools available to us with social media, with networking events, with one-on-ones to change people's opinions. Because a lot of times our opinions of people don't come from direct experience with them. It comes from what other people say. So if you make yourself open to other people, you're going to, well, for me, for example, everybody in school probably was a bully and had a bully. For me, as an adult, connecting with my friends from high school and people that weren't friends and now they're my friends, to me, that's a big win. It should be the same thing in business. So, they're the people that like you because they like your type of personality. There's other people that may find you very abrasive. But if you are giving to them, even though they don't like you, imagine what type of referral partner you can create with them.
That's true. That's true. You can always be the bigger giver, that's for sure, and outgive the problem. So we'll wrap up with networking, number 5. And I couldn't have 2 better guys talking about this, other than maybe Steve Hand in here. But other than that, we'll wrap up with that. Let's talk about networking.
Well, for me, I feel that there's probably about 9 or 10 things you should be doing in your business and prospecting that are powerful to get you business. Networking is probably the number 1 thing you can do and the most difficult thing to do, because once you are successful and you are doing well and you are busy, you don't have as much time to go out to grow your sphere of influence. Not only grow your sphere of influence, but reward your existing sphere of influence by growing your network. Because that's one of your value adds, right? I know a lot of people I can introduce you to. So one of the ways you can quickly do that is you can go to networking events. It can be very cumbersome once you're successful to go to every single event. I know you go to less events today than you used to. I have been,
yeah, really. Yep.
That being said, if you host your own networking event or your own activity where you're going to meet, multiple people, you really have the ability to be more efficient, get your name out in front of people, help more people all at once, and continue to do the number 1 most important thing to your business, which is networking. So in our company, we have our evening events, which are, the mix and mingle. It's the antidote or the complement to a chamber event, except instead of you going to the event and meeting the 5 same people over and over again because you're comfortable in your clique, everyone is researching you beforehand and they know who you are. We now have a morning event, which is the antidote to BNI for people that can't go to 4 weeks of BNI, where they can help other people. They can give a value add. They can teach them about networking or marketing in a workshop, but basically just show up and be there and create something of value. So anything that you do in business, you want to do more efficiently. Networking is so important. So you can't say, hey, I'm booked out for 6 months. I can't take a phone call. It's essential for you to continue that networking.
Absolutely.
And it's one of my other favorite sayings is I'm going to ask my man right here. What do you clean your ears with?
Q-tips.
Q-tips. Everybody says Q-tips, but we don't clean our ears with Q-tips. We use cotton swabs. Q-tip is the brand. Kleenex, Coke. There's a lot of things we can say. So everybody says Q-tips. And that's one of the things that I love about networking is you can become the Q-tip with what you do when you're out there a lot.
But you can lose that brand too. So when I was a kid, mouthwash was Listerine, no matter what it was.
Sure.
Listerine doesn't market themselves anymore.
Right.
No kid knows what Listerine is today.
That's true.
When we were growing up, everyone knew who Listerine was. Someone there dropped the ball about keeping that brand out in front of people.
Top of mind.
Got to be top of mind.
Right.
So you can never give up in doing what you're doing.
Absolutely. 100%. So we've got a little bit of a time crunch here. So we were talking and we'd love to do, if there's a request for it, if you want more information on the topic, obviously there's Rockstar events. You can run into these guys all over the place and certainly get out. I get out as well. But we would consider doing a Facebook Live if anybody wants more information on some of these topics. We'll actually be willing to answer direct questions that you might have. So I think that'd be fun. I think we all think it'd be fun. And ultimately, we're just trying to help, help that business that's struggling or that sales rep that's trying to develop their brand and develop business. But we'd certainly enjoy doing that.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. What I would love to talk about on a call like that is why everyone is valuable and not to discount people because they're not the gatekeeper that you want to meet, because you really don't know who the gatekeeper is to bring you to the next level in your business. I guarantee you that.
That's a great point you bring up. I love all these little fine things you learn over the years. That I remember someone being nasty to one of my coworkers who's like answering phones. for me at the time, and they were selling something that I was actually interested in, but they were kind of short and kind of a jerk to the person that was answering the phone, but they wanted to be nice to me, and they were disqualified right out of the gate, because if you're going to be like that to my coworker,
Oh, sure. I mean, we've had people that have signed up and paid for events, and they've been inconsiderate to our staff members, and we mail them their check back.
Sure, yeah, I don't blame you.
And they said, "Well, why?" And I said, "Because you were a lion on the phone with them and a pussycat with me."
Right.
They don't get paid enough for that.
Sure, yeah, and so those are all great points, and again, thanks for joining us today and squeezing us. I know how busy you guys are. And thanks for joining us again on another 5 Things podcast. See you next time. Hello, this is Brian Smith, and thank you for watching. Please subscribe for more valuable content.